action after is really what makes him what really to me is making him even more interesting, but not likable. I mean, you can still take his side and you can still see his point of view, but not likable. He kind of like embraces what he did. I know we already talked about it, how like I would do it again. It's really kind of cool though. Like, you know what? There's no, I get to see any sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Any sort of
fallout.
What's the? I'm blanking on the word. Any remorse? I get to see any remorse from, like, you kind of see it a little, but I don't really see it heavily enough. It's like, you know what? I did it. Yep, good for me. But no, I guess it's what has made this arc kind of interesting, and this event where, like, you got this character who's become such a, like, you could tackle him from so many point of views. You could kind of argue that he's the villain, and you could kind of argue that he was actually the hero of it, and it really, what came out of it is pretty cool for an event book that it came out of that.
In terms of, like, moving back to Wanda and Hope, this was supposed to focus on them a lot, and you did see Hope the most. Like, she was really being drilled by Cyclops. Like, there were even points where Magneto was like, "You're pushing her too hard." When Magneto tells you that you are messing up, you have reached an all-time level of douchebaggery. But in terms of, like, Hope, this was supposed to be, I know this was supposed to be her story, but it didn't feel like that. This felt more like a grand Marvel epic, and it didn't get back to her and Wanda's story till the final issue, and I felt like that was kind of what's the word? I think that was kind of the point, that was supposed to be those two from the beginning. But in terms of that, you do see that Hope is, like, she never wanted to be this mutant messiah. She never wanted to be the Phoenix's chosen host. And she actually blames Wanda, like, "This was your fault. I never asked for this, but you doomed me," basically.
Well, that was one of her fears, that she was basically born to die, more or less.
Yeah.
Because the Phoenix would consume her like it did Jean. It'll just fucking use her like a Kleenex.
Yeah. But yeah, this was kind of the thing, and even like when she was part of the Avengers, and she was being trained by Iron Fist, it was kind of like she was still back in that rut of, I'm the ace in the hole for another team now. And I gotta admit, I'm not the biggest Hope fan. I mean, I try to like her, but it's kind of like, oh, I don't want to be we get it. You don't want to be the mutant messiah, but guess what? You are.
Right. I never liked Hope. Characters kind of a little whiny and it's weird because she was raised in such a badass way. You would think, you'd be a badass, but no, you're kind of whiny. You need to shut up. She, in the arc that she comes back in, from jumping time streams with Cable, when she finally is gonna stay in the normal time stream, she again whiny, just complaining. I never liked her as a character. Just never did. She never did it for me. I don't hate her either, but it's like, okay.
Yeah. Wanda made a bit more sense that, yeah, she has a bigger problem. Like, you think you have it rough? I'm the one who caused this. I have to live with this every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think, like, everyone, like, there are, like, she feels like she's the pariah among the X-Men and the Avengers, because she still feels like I'm the cause. If I never said those words, we wouldn't be here right now. And we probably wouldn't have the same problems like the Civil War or the Hulk going off into space or even Norman Osborn taking control.
Right.
I wonder if, like, Wanda not saying no more mutants would have caused one more day to not happen.
I think, well, they stole the idea from them. Who knows if it would have happened. I think it probably would have, something would have happened. They had to reboot Spider-Man. I get this is going to go into another discussion, but no, I hated the way they did it, but it had to be done. It was one of those things where you don't want to see how the hamburger's made, but after the fact, the hamburger's good. So it's like, yeah, it had to be done, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, but, the other thing was, like, during the Avengers vs. X-Men number 0, we did see that kind of parallel between Wanda and Hope, And I gotta say, Vision said the most he said, I can't remember what he said, but it was like I thought about what he huh.
He said, you caused this. Don't ever come back here again. He ripped on.
It was me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he tore her a new one because she literally had him torn to pieces by She-Hulk. Yeah. I'd be pretty mad if my wife basically had me dismembered, even if she was a little nuts to begin with.
Yeah, good point. And yeah, he's not in the wrong, but you could have been a little more nicer. But then again, you are right. I'd be kind of pissed off at if my ex-wife ripped me apart.
I can't tell who has the worst life, Wanda or Ultimate Wanda. I mean, both of them have pretty shitty existences.
Yeah, I'd say Ultimate Wanda, because didn't she get her head blown off in Ultimatum?
No, she was shot in Ultimates 3 by Ultron, who was in love with her, but she was busy shacking up with her brother Quicksilver, because he was banging her because she looked just like their mom and he missed his mother. So, apparently, missing your mom means bang your sister in the Ultimate Universe.
You see, this is why I didn't read Ultimates 3.
Yeah,
this is why Magneto disowns his children.
Yeah.
But yeah, among other things, you guys want to talk about favorite issue of the main series?
Sure.
Okay.
Chris, what was your favorite issue?
I'd say issue 9. That was just a really good issue because that issue really showcased like the dire need of the Avengers. Like, they knew they were just being outmatched. They were outgunned. It was like, basically, it's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. They knew that they were just really outmatched, and they needed to get, some people on their side and, rescue some of the Avengers that, Majik had captured. And, of course, that one showcase was the cover of that issue. You see in Spider-Man all ripped up to pieces basically was real. Most covers don't really broadcast, well, that really would happen in the book. Well, that actually happens in the book.
I don't know, I find AVX was pretty truthful about their covers.
That was really a good issue right there. I love that issue very much.
Do you mind if I say some of the highlights I liked in issue 9? Because it wasn't my favorite, but there was a lot in this I liked.
Okay.
When it first opens, the first page, you see Spider-Man's POV, and it's basically another great, kind of inner monologue by the webhead, as you see him kind of hazing in and out, and it's just Colossus, telling him, stay down. And through this issue, you just see Colossus and Magic, they are the most unstable. Namor did the attack first, but Colossus and Magic were, I'd say they were the most corrupted. Majik, sorry. They dropped Thor in a volcano. That's pretty evil. And
well, the thing about also, we gotta remember also, Namor may have, but who set Namor off to do it?
Emma.
There you go.
Although there's something with Emma in issue 9 that I'm surprised they never brought up again. She goes into this family's house, and she talks about a man in 1987, apparently, who hit a mutant who grew wings a few days before with his plane, and never said anything, and she kills him in cold blood, as sort of kind of being late revenge for the mutants, but then it's completely dropped. I feel the characterizations were all over the place in this book, and I have to chalk it up to the fact that there were so many writers. I've worked in a kitchen a few years, and I think it's true when they say, too many chefs can spoil a dish.
Yeah.
Mario, what was your favorite issue or favorite highlights?
9, as they already pointed out, so the last issue, I know it's predictable, I knew it had to be done, but just for what it sets up for Cyclops, what else? Namor and Wakanda, that was a pretty badass scene. Those were some of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, he rips like Red Hulk's arm off. That's pretty hardcore.
It was. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Was it just me, or is that kind of was when Namor attacked Wakanda? Did that anyone else remind you of the DC event World War III?
Yes.
I didn't actually read it. Was that in 52? Because I haven't actually gotten around to 52 yet.
That's pre-52. That was after
Black Adam, right?
Black Adam lost ISIS. When ISIS died, he just went crazy.
Yeah. That kind of it reminded me more of Flashpoint Aquaman, like sinking Europe in the fight with the Amazons.
Yeah. But yeah, that was pretty good. There were some really cool fights in here, like everyone said, issue 9 was my favorite issue, just on the grounds of, and I know we were talking about this earlier, that Chris, you were like, oh, Pete, stay down, because he was just Peter should have known better. Like, when he said, you guys do what you do, I'll hold the line, I'm like, you're not gonna make it.
This is Peter's Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. He was Rocky.
Fighting both. If he was fighting both.
Two Ivan Dragos.
No, if he was fighting Ivan Drago and Clubber Lang at the same time.
That's pretty much it. And I was just like, Pete, stay down. Like, and he just kept buying them time. He said, I'm going to buy you enough time. And, I just love the scene where, did I win? It came on. Wolverine just grabbed him like, I got you. Like, hang on, I got you. Cap showed his appreciation, but still, it's just like, oh my god, like, how is this guy's skull not cracked? This guy has had to have like multiple concussions.
Yeah,
he was just out of it.
Yeah,
he's gotten less severe beatings from all of the Sinister Six.
I think the last time Pete was beaten that bad was in his fight with Moreland in the JMS run.
Oh yeah, with the other where he actually like was beaten to death.
Yeah.
That's not a spoiler because it's not in continuity anymore, but he had his eye pulled out of his face, and Moreland ate it.
You're talking about Spider-Man? Yeah. The other storyline.
Yeah, like I was saying, I haven't seen Pete beaten this bad since that fight with Moreland.
Right.
Yeah.
Although, I'd say as far as fights go, I think issue 2 is my favorite, because it's just like mayhem on Utopia. Everybody is going at it.
Yeah.
This is the actual Avengers versus X-Men, before it becomes Avengers and X-Men versus the X-Men.
Yeah. I like that. Like, even, I remember in, like, the beginning of issue 2, Logan runs over to Spider-Man, he's like, this is crazy, man! And it's like, he's
right.
And
I will also say about that fight that Rick was talking about is the ramifications in Wolverine and the X-Men when Wolverine returned back to school and was telling everybody what's going on, where he basically said, I'm looked at now as a traitor. Literally, they were calling me a traitor, like I'm a traitor to my own race. And it felt really bad. You really had to feel for Logan in that issue, like just hearing them call him that, like, traitor, you like almost calling him a race traitor, like you trade your race. And
well, yeah, I mean, getting called names has to hurt. Getting kicked out of a plane into Antarctica has to hurt too. I mean,
well, I almost think that was planned in a sense, but who knows? What.
The X-Men didn't want him. The Avengers didn't want him. Logan can't get any love in this series.
Yeah.
But he comes out looking okay, though.
Yeah.
At the end, he comes out fine.
Yeah.
Compared to other characters, but no, yeah, it was interesting how at first Logan and Beast, they're kind of on the outside looking in, and nobody, everybody's angry. The mutants fall in line with Scott. They all go against them. Yet, but towards the end, they flip the script, and it becomes like, okay, we're leaving Scott. All the X-Men start leaving Scott, and they just join up with the Avengers instead. Because, like, you know what, you kind of lost it, Scott. So Wolverine gets, he comes out looking okay compared to others.
Yeah. Actually, there was a thing in Wolverine the X-Men where, like, when all the some of the X-Men from Logan's school, or like where they were leaving, and Chris, you were telling me about this. Is like, yeah, he had no problem against them, but he was like, I think the best line he had in there is like, yeah, if we have a home to go back to, you can come back.
Yeah, they said when Bobby and all of them left, Rachel, all of them left.
They just said no hard feelings, right?
Yeah, no hard feelings, like, But I also, in terms of, I think I need to talk about Rachel. Rachel Gray Summers for a while, because she played a big factor in this as well. Because of the future that she comes from, mutants are pretty much a dying race, where she was actually, in that universe, called a hound. She was used as to hunt down other mutants for the humans. Like, they had her, like, locked up, chained up like a dog and everything. It was really bad in that future. So she played a real factor in there, as well as, because she's Cyclops' daughter. So it was like, I have to go where I should be with him. And so there was a contemplate, like a little war between, should I stay with Logan or should I be with my father, in a sense. And that was something that I also like that they did in that in the story as well.
Yeah.
How many illegitimate kids does Scott have? Isn't it technically like Rachel,
Cable?
Nate Gray, Cable, and like one other kid?
Yeah.
Strife, technically. So he doesn't actually have a child of his own. They're all from like alternate realities, futures, and dimensions.
Well, yeah, okay.
I think like another thing, like you were mentioning with Rachel, Chris, was like, I think there was another tie-in, and I think it might be, I can't remember what issue it was or what comic it even was, but it was Rachel talking to Cyclops, and when she was leaving, she's like, you've turned into something ugly. My own father has become the monster that I was forced to work for.
Mm-hmm. See, I find that to be the main problem with AVX, is that too much of the story was to be told in the tie-ins. You didn't get enough of the full story in AVX. It sort of depended on all these tie-ins to kind of give the full story. Whereas things like Fear itself, those were just self-contained stories that were in the events.
And they sucked.
It kind of depended on the tie-ins for the character beats.
Yeah. It was kind of like what you were saying, like, why didn't we get an issue of Havoc talking to Scott?
Yeah. I mean, maybe that could have been the one tie-in for X Factor. Come on, Peter David writing Cyclops and Havoc talking? That wouldn't have been a bad issue.
Because when I saw Havoc with Cyclops, I'm like, okay, when did this happen? Like,
yeah, why is he just a straight-up villain now?
He's just right there. I know that's your brother and all, I get it, but you should question, like, my older brother turning. We've seen this already. Havoc had to nearly kill his other older brother.
Vulcan. Vulcan was his younger brother, I think.
Yeah. No. Vulcan was older than Alex.
Oh.
No, right. Alex was the middle. Vulcan was the young. Right, there we go. Well, Gabriel, he had to deal with that. So you would figure that Alex would have sat down and be like, Scott, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? Like, and that's where my problems with the Phoenix and the X-Men come. They've dealt with the Phoenix countless of times. They know what this entity does over a period of time, and
they still haven't learned.
And they didn't learn their lesson. It was like they just easily, like, okay, embraced it, and really nobody really contemplated, like, hey, should we really be doing this? Is the Phoenix. We've done with this before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
and the first person, it wasn't, and you know what's funny? The first person to question it wasn't like Magneto. Well, Magneto had his doubts, but he didn't say anything. But the first person who did say anything was Cannonball.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cannonball of all people.
And don't get me wrong, I love Sam Guthrie to death, but still, that shouldn't have been Sam's line to start questioning. Should have been somebody else.
Yeah, that should have been Alex.
Yeah, Alex or somebody else, because, or even Rachel, like, look, I had the Phoenix Force in me, and I was pretty much able to control it a bit,
Yeah, she brought that up in Wolverine versus the X-Men. She's like, I want to find Hope and help, like, get her ready for this.
Yeah.
But with the rest of the Phoenix Five, like, they just completely lost it, and it was just like you saw it corrupting them every issue. It got worse and worse every issue with them.
To be fair, most of them were already a little to begin with.
True. Yeah, well, okay, some of them, but I never appreciated seeing Colossus be a part of that because Colossus has always been
a nice guy.
Yeah.
The gentle giant.
Yeah, he was the gentle giant with a warrior's heart. And then you see him he accepts Sidorak's offer